Got our old friend David Cohn on the line from Crain and Company. David, always great to have you on. Crain and Company, a sports show which you are a part of, and it's out of the Daily Wire. It's kind of like, I don't know, is it safe to say that it is through the prism of conservatism and how you talk about sports? How would you describe it?
Well, that's a great question, and thank you guys so much for having me. Look, at Crain and Company, we love nothing more than to come in and just talk sports every single day. Obviously, the three of us played college football, so we specialize in that sport, and we love to just come in and talk about the schemes and the narratives of the game, and talk about speed break Detroit right side 300 box, why stick, and why that plays great against zone coverage. But unfortunately, when we have things in our society like institutions and a president and an administration who allow and pushes for men to compete in women's sports, and we have some of our star athletes, the biggest names in this country and internationally, not step up to voice their opinion on that, but will step up to take a knee for the national anthem, then yes, certainly we're always going to discuss that. And if people think that that has a conservative bent to it, then I don't know. I mean, that just comes down to the distinction of, is loving America and loving this country a conservative value now? I didn't really think that growing up. I thought that, hey, every political party and everybody wants what's best for America. We just differ on how we get there. But I guess now, yeah, if you love this country, then that makes you a conservative. So we'll accept whatever label they throw at us. We love talking sports, and we love being at the Daily Wire.
Let me ask you a question. I don't know how long you've been doing this, David, but did you ever think that you would see a day where, for example, Title IX would be gutted the way that it has been in the last few weeks by President Biden? Changing and replacing it with, what a lot of folks are calling this radical gender theory. And now women and girls are no longer protected under Title IX. I can imagine that, for your kind of show, this has been a big topic of conversation. I think in Kentucky, maybe other states as well. But the governor there in Kentucky, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, she has actually banned that kind of a definition of Title IX.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and good for her. And to answer your question, no. I mean, who could answer that question any other way but no? I cannot believe we're at a point where we allow men not just to compete against our daughters and our sisters, but we allow them to go into the dressing rooms, into the locker rooms. Look, I'm good friends with Riley Gaines, and I talked to her about this issue quite often, and she was just with Governor Sanders as well. I just can't believe that she and her teammates were put through this experience of having men change in the dressing room with them and then hoist the trophies that we've designated for them. I mean, just think about all the other ways that we bifurcate or that we categorize sports, right? We do so based off ability, right? We would never see Michael Phelps, who is a world record holder in the Olympics, compete in the Special Olympics. We do so based off weight and based off size. I mean, Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Mike Tyson are two of the greatest boxers in the history of the world. They would never be allowed to fight each other because we understand the data that even 10 pounds of difference can make or break who wins a fight, okay? And we're all of a sudden going to talk about, but no, when we categorize based off male and females, that's discriminatory, that is somehow sexist or keeping people from having opportunities. I don't buy into it. I don't believe it. I think it's all a psyop. I think it's all a game coming up from the very top here to try and sell us on the biggest lie possible. If you can make the American public believe that men can be women and that they should compete in women's sports, then you can make them believe almost anything. And I saw a Gallup poll recently that said, well, at least 69% of the American public believes that athletes should compete with their biological sex. And I thought, okay, well, what's going on with the other 31% of our country that believes that that should not be the case? I just can't wrap my brain around it.
Well, I don't think, being conservatives, things to us have to be logical. And I think on the other side of the aisle, they go based on anger and emotion. By the way, I should correct myself. I'm going to Kentucky today, so Kentucky's on my mind. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, governor of Arkansas. But let me ask you,
yes,
are you seeing more of these Title IX boys playing on the girls' team? Are we seeing, and against girls, are we seeing more of that or less as time goes on? It seems to me like it's being because, you know, these folks are being put on, you know, a pedestal, and they're being treated as heroes. Are we seeing more of this as time goes on and it becomes more prevalent in our society?
Well, it's funny you ask that because I'm seeing it every single week, and I'm paying special attention because the last time we spoke, obviously, we here at the Daily Wire were releasing our new film, Lady Ballers, a sports comedy where we address this in the most absurd way possible, which I think is the correct way to handle issues like this, is through comedy and through absurdity. And we wondered, hey, will this affect this movement or the culture at all? And certainly our film got talked about on Capitol Hill. It was discussed in Senate hearings. And then yet we've seen every single month since the release of our film, these stories keep popping up. I mean, did you see just this past month in West Virginia,
Yep.
the 5 girls who decided not to throw shot put? Now, they didn't make some outlandish, political statement. They didn't do anything that would be seen as disrespectful. They went up with the shot put and just didn't throw it. And that was their form of protest when they had to compete against a male. Well, all 5 of those girls who did that were suspended from their track and field team by the Board of Education there. Now, thank goodness the Attorney General there in West Virginia sued that Board of Education. But that's the point we're at here now, is those girls decided to stand up for themselves, and they were suspended from their track and field team. So when everyone asks the question, why won't more women and more girls stand up for their own sports because men can't do it? Well, the answer is that. The answer is because they will get ridiculed and they will get banned because we don't have enough people standing up for this as an entire movement.
And that's what is surprising. I did cover that story, and I was horrified at that story. And the ban on these girls competing, it almost seemed like a message to others that
Yes.
if you dare stand up, we will sit you back down and we will destroy your life.
That's exactly what it was. It was a message to others when we're only 4 years removed, mind you, from COVID, when I was told that silence is violence. I was told that any form of protest in sports is not only good, but it's imperative. You have to voice your opinion. Oh, of course, unless that opinion is that you don't think that the young women in our society should be forced to compete against men, and then we'll suspend you.
Does it baffle you? I mean, there's a couple of different ways to go about this. There's one, which is, you know, women and these girls who walked into the shot put ring and refused to throw. But women can also make a statement with their vote. And are you, from your vantage point at the Daily Wire and Crain and Company, are you surprised that we have not seen more of just this groundswell of support for Donald Trump because of what the left is doing?
Yeah, and Donald Trump is so polarizing as a figure that I understand he invokes emotion. And this was a tactic of the left for the last 8 years since he was elected first time, is so that the first time you think of that name, he draws a negative emotion, even though the guy has been in front of a television for the last, 3 or 4 decades. And I mean, he used to get his name dropped in rap songs, and he's appearing in Home Alone 2, and everybody knew everything about Donald Trump and loved him until all of a sudden he calls himself a Republican. But a couple things on that. One, yes, I expect things to go a little differently. Even just take out the presidential election. I mean, this stuff starts even at the local and regional level. I'm really interested to see how this cycle goes and to see if women have had it with a lot of these decisions when things like Title IX are being eroded. So there has to be a political element to this if you're actually going to see change in legislation. But one of my favorite things about working at the Daily Wire, and Jeremy Boring and Ben Shapiro have said it for years, is that politics is downstream of culture. So unless we sort of all stand up to the culture of this, right, and say no, we do not want to be, we don't care what the law is. We're not going to be a part of a society that allows young men to go into the locker rooms and play sports against women, because this is the most essential way to categorize. Like I said, we already do it based off weight and based off size and all these other ways. Biological sex, or I shouldn't even say biological sex, just males and females, that is the most essential way to categorize, and there's nothing discriminatory about that, and it definitely shouldn't go away.
Joining us on the Newsmaker Hotline, David Cohn, and one of my favorite sports guys out there. And I did know David. She likes You're one heck of a singer.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
That is your new song. I had no idea. I've been interviewing you now for a couple of years, and that is your new song. I believe it's called, is it What America Needs?
Just What America Needs. Yes, sir.
And so you wrote this song as well.
Yes, I did, and I've written songs since 2010, 2011 when I got done playing football at the University of Michigan. Taught myself how to play guitar, started writing songs. They were bad, just wrote a bunch of bad songs until you eventually get to one that's pretty good, and then, sort of have a natural progression and just never quit. Then music for me around when COVID hit everybody was sort of derailed because all the music shows got canceled, and I had recorded a couple EPs before that, but all the shows got canceled, and I was, involved with this sports show and trying to put all my eggs into this basket, and we got a chance to come to Nashville and join the Daily Wire, and so I didn't know if music might be a thing of the past for me, but then I wrote a lot of new material, and we had our movie come out, Lady Ballers, and I'm here in Nashville, the music capital of the world, and I got a chance to meet Dolly Parton's producer, Mr. Kent Wells, a Nashville legend, and he really loved some of the material and the demos that I had and said he wanted to record them. So we recorded 6 new songs this spring, and that's the first single right there, Just What America Needs. Very, Southern rock, country, the intersection of all of that, and I couldn't be more proud of the work that he and the session guys did on it. So we're going to put out a new song every 4 weeks for the next 6 months, and that was the first one, and I thought you'd enjoy it.
You know what? I've listened to it a number of different times now, and it is really good. Let me ask you just a very easy pandering question. Where do you get your inspiration from when you write these kinds of songs?
What's funny enough is that song right there for a lot of people is it's an accessible sort of country rock pop song, with some easy lyrics to digest. But funny enough, the origins for that song specifically were from a deeply philosophical conversation I had with a colleague a couple years ago. His name was Jesse, and we were talking about the geopolitical relationship between the United States and China. And he said something like, to the effect of, well, culture always still wins, and people around the world will never stop loving blue jeans and rock and roll. And so I just tuck that phrase away like I do so many, or write it in, a little note section that I have. And I thought I was going to write a song called Blue Jeans and Rock and Roll. Well, it ended up just being the beginning of a chorus, and I ended with, no, this is just what America needs. And I had just met my wife, and, I thought, she was a big inspiration in the song as well. And so, I tweaked it over time, and that's what we ended up with, was this song, Just What America Needs. And so far, the response has been incredible.
I'm telling you, because I'm a country fan, and I really do. I do really like this song. Let folks hear a second of it. Hold I love Johnny is actually, bobbing his head up and down like he likes it too.
Really?
Jay, you've got the JB head nod approval.
Yeah, you do, man. That is awesome.
That's all I wanted was the JB head nod of approval.
Everybody wants that one.
I never get that, David, just so you know. All right, so where can people find the song? If they wanted to get it, where can they find it? Everywhere.
You can find it everywhere they listen to music. If you're a Spotify person, go to Spotify. If you're Apple, if you're YouTube, go to those platforms. The song is available absolutely everywhere. And the next one coming out is called Flavors of Kentucky, and that will be 3 weeks from this Friday.
Okay, you know what? Shoot me a text, and we'll play it. I'll look for, maybe we'll have you back on, actually, too, and we'll talk about the song and whatever else is going on in this crazy world of ours. David, always appreciate having you on. How can folks find you on Twitter?
Please find me on Twitter at David Adam Cohn, and watch our sports show Crain and Company. Whenever you're not listening to this awesome radio show, watch Crain and Company on YouTube or on DailyWirePlus.com. And I really appreciate you guys for having me on.
All right, David. Love you. Thank you, and we'll talk soon. David Cohn from Crain and Company, and I love that song. I really do. And so we'll have him back, because I think that this Nashville, I don't know. It's interesting, Johnny. You have been, you play guitar, And
Badly.
you ever listen to songs where you're like, how is that song not like a bigger hit?
Yes, a lot.
You know what I mean? Because
lot.
that's a great flipping song.
It really is. That blew me. I didn't know he was a singer-songwriter. And when you were playing that, I didn't know that was him.
Yeah.
Very well done.
There you go. Well, we'll have him back.
See, I love people like that. They come out of left field and just surprise you. But that's why you shouldn't pigeonhole people.
That's exactly right, Johnny. He was pretty good, too, in Lady Ballers. He was good in that, too. So he's like a well-rounded kind of a guy.
He's very talented, obviously.